Hello, all you fantastic art parents. Hey, thank you so much for volunteering to teach art literacy this year. You're going to have a great time with the kids. It's such a fun experience. I'm excited for some of the fun projects we have coming up. We're going to get to do a canvas and do some clay, use good quality brushes. It's going to be a great time. You'll love being in the middle of it. I thought it would be helpful to just do a quick demo video so you could kind of see how I would do this in the classroom, but of course feel free to make it your own. If you're teaching kindergarten, you're going to want to really simplify and shorten the history. If you're teaching 6th grade, they'll find it interesting. It'll be fun to talk about it for a little bit. In this, I'm just going to shoot for the center of the spectrum to kind of give you an idea, but of course, do what works for you. And this first month is maybe a little bit shaky if you haven't done it in years past, but after this first month, you'll love it. You'll realize that even if you kind of blunder your way through it, the kids have a great time. So let's get started. All right, this month we are going to talk about Sandro Botticelli, and Botticelli was a painter during the early part of the Renaissance. Now, he lived a long time ago, really long, like the 1400s, 1445 to 1510. Can anybody tell me what was going on in that time period? What things do we think about when we think about the Renaissance and the Middle Ages? And here you'll take a few things, and then you'll say, yeah, when you think of like knights and castles and kings and queens, that was the stuff that was happening during this time frame. But keep in mind, that is not what everyday life was like for most people. We'll save that for history, though. We're going to talk about the Renaissance, and the Renaissance was a really cool time because it was a rebirth for art and science and literature. It was a really great new reawakening time. Previously to the Renaissance, it was the Middle Ages, and during that time, people were really just getting by. They were farming to live. For the most part, people didn't have a lot of time to sit around and think or dream up great paintings. The church did sponsor artwork, and a few very wealthy noblemen were able to. So most of the art that came out of the Middle Ages was religious in nature. Now before that, there were the Greek and Roman empires, and during that time, it was an amazing time for art and for literature and for the sciences, for architecture. They created a lot of amazing things. But then when those empires fell, life really changed over the next few hundred years. And then the Renaissance occurred. And what spurred this was there were some wealthier families like the Medicis that had the money to be able to say, hey, we want this artist to study and paint for us, or we want this scientist to be able to do his great work, and we're going to sponsor that. They were called patrons. And patrons mean that they were able to pay artists to do the art they wanted to do. So now this artist doesn't have to farm to make his living. He can go live somewhere or apprentice somewhere and be sponsored by a royal or a noble family like the Medicis. So Sandro Botticelli, when he was a young boy, was originally apprenticed to a goldsmith with his brother. But it didn't take long to realize that he had a very special talent for painting, and so he became the apprentice of Master Filippi and was able to go on and create even greater paintings than Filippi had made. So let's take a quick look at these paintings that Botticelli did and kind of get an idea for what the Renaissance was like. He's an excellent example of classic Renaissance art. Take a look at this portrait of this boy for me. What do you notice about it? So they'll tell you some things. Some of them will be very helpful, some may not. You just may want to point out, look at the serene look on this boy's face. Look how well proportioned everything is. He's really beautiful, right? It's a beautiful person. The colors are subdued but rich. It has a very peaceful, composed feel, right? His hair's not crazy and out of place. Everything is just very composed. We'll take a look at this one next. Look at this beautiful girl. Look at this painting. Isn't it gorgeous? Look at the intricate details. But again, everything is very composed, right? She's classically beautiful. She has perfect proportions in her face. It's beautiful. What do you notice about it? And then talk a little bit more about it. And then you want to introduce the round paintings or the tondos. And you'll say tondos, or round pieces of art, were more common. They were fashionable during the Renaissance. We really don't see these very often today, do you? You don't see round canvases around very often. Now, I want you to learn this word because this is a fancy art term, the tondo, which is short for the Italian word for round, which is rotundo. If you go home and say, hey Mom, I made a round piece of art today, your mom will say, oh, that's nice. But if you say, hello Mother, I brought home a tondo that I made in school today, she'll be super impressed. So say it with me, tondo. Okay, now take a look at this art. See how the figures are leaning towards the Virgin Mary? See how everything kind of fits with the round feel, the drape of her dress, the movement, the cradle of the baby. It's all got a very round feel to it, right? Now let's contrast this with this painting, also done by Botticelli. He didn't only do round paintings. Oh, you're too loud. But see, notice the edges. Notice how the composition of the picture is different, right? What do you see? What do you notice? Okay, let's look at one more. Let's look at this tondo. Uh-oh. Where's my bookmark? Let's see. While you wait with me, here, it's on I. Okay. So take a look at this one. What do you notice? See how, again, the figures are leaning towards the Virgin Mary. You can tell what's most important. It's got the prominence in the picture. And then look, they're framed by the arch and then accented, right? And see how the background kind of provides a nice contrast. Let's take a look at how we can do this for ourselves. Here's our piece of art. You will have to wait for that. Now, we've got what might appear to be a paper plate to some people, but to us, we know it is a tondo, and it's going to look like a wonderful work of art in just a minute. We can use this lip as the frame, so you may want to leave it white, you may want to color it a different color, but I suggest your picture doesn't go up onto this. I think it'll look really nice and finished if you let this be the frame. Now I'm going to just take my pencil and very lightly sketch what I want to draw. I'm not going to put in all the details. I'm not going to press hard. This is called roughing in art. And it's called roughing in because it just gives you a rough idea of where you want everything to go. So for me, I'm going to make, let's see, I'm going to make a girl on a swing hanging from the tree. And I'm going to make the tree kind of come up and bend around with the picture. And here's the limb that's going to go out that the swing's going to be on. And then here's where my girl's going to be. And see how I'm just putting a circle for a head, just putting a rough body shape, maybe where her feet are going to go. Okay, now I'm ready to work on this with my pastels. And something to keep in mind with your pastels is that they aren't like crayons. Pastels are actually like oil paint poured into sticks. So they have a different feel, they have a different texture, but also they don't have small little points. They're kind of big, so you don't want to get too detailed. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make some grass here and see how I'm just kind of scribbling back and forth really lightly. This will give the texture of the grass. Now I don't want to scribble big because that's not going to look super great. But if I make these teeny little scribbles, then I can go back with my finger and kind of rub and blend in. And I can make it look even better by adding a different color onto the top to kind of make some shadows, make it more interesting. Maybe go back over with a little of the light and see how the color's getting vibrant. And I'm going to blend it in. So, do you kind of see how pastels work? Okay, excellent. Does anybody have any questions? All right, I think we're ready to go get started. Let's go back to our desks. So there you go. There's a a little idea. We have plenty of paper plates. I want you guys each to do, you know, just show them, just like that. And you don't have to do more than this. And then I'll have one finished piece there for you to show, which will be this piece when I finish it. Excellent. Let me know if you have any questions. I'm really excited to hear how it goes. I hope you have a great experience. Thanks again for doing this.